Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here with my good friend and partner, Brendan Payne, and we're coming at you again with some additional sales tips. And Brendan, today, or on this video, because we've shared a few videos today, but on this video, I want to talk about how the real estate process has changed. There's a lot of conversations about virtual tours, virtual open houses, and things like that. That's great. It looks like the industry is going to be innovative right now.
hmm
But when it comes to like real presentations, there's some things that have changed when it comes to the process, and there's probably some things that maybe shouldn't change when it comes to the process. So in the area of presentations, how has the process changed? What adjustments do we need to be considering right now?
Yeah, and I think that's a good conversation because one of the things that I'm hearing from agents is there is anytime it changes up your normal routine, your normal way of doing things, there's a little bit of stress in there. And an actual presentation, whether it be going and showing property or having that first initial conversation with somebody at their home, walking through their home and sitting down at the kitchen table, that's kind of what the normal was. And now we're all separated in some way, shape, or form. So that's, I think, causing some stress. So the the communication really, even though the venue may change and how we are sitting across from each other may change, it's important that you don't lose your standards. I think it's
Mhm.
important that you still maintain and kind of understand how the process works in the sales cycle. It hasn't changed. There's still people that you're gonna have to take from the beginning stage where they're just thinking about making a move all the way through where you're actually going and getting listing paperwork signed. So I'd say a couple of key points on it would be you still, let's talk about sellers. If you're working with sellers, you still have to make sure that you are in communication with them and understand what their motivation is. You still have
Mhm.
to understand kind of what their time frame is. You still have to have conversations about pricing. All those things have to happen, but how do you do them in a virtual world, or how do you do them when you're not sitting across from them? So um, that's where, when we've talked in previous videos, if people are looking for skills that they need to be working on, that's where it's at. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people in a forum like this, you and I are sitting across from video from each other. We're very comfortable with each other. And so we can talk and be very normal. But when you're sitting across from somebody that might be, even across town on video, and you're trying to do the listing presentation, there's going to be a certain amount of stress for someone who's not used to looking into the screen and seeing themselves. Just
Yeah.
something like that can be a challenge. So same thing with a phone. A lot of people would prefer to be in front of somebody when they're talking about important stuff. So how do you communicate effectively over the phone when all of the communication is verbal, and we're used to having all the nonverbals they give us, all the sitting across from somebody, you get a lot of communication through things beyond what they're just saying, and now you have to start listening differently.
Yes.
I guess would be the kind of the bottom line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's making sense. So as I'm processing what you're sharing, I'll go with the most recent thing you just said is over the phone. And so an example could be I could be talking, let's say I'm talking to a seller and I'm sharing over the phone. Maybe we're not on video right now. I'm sharing with the property owner. Hey, Brendan, look, there's been 5 sales within your community within the past 3 months. Those sales have ranged between 400,000 and 475,000, and there's some variance in the size and the condition of each property, and which of course correlates with the price that they got. So let's just say that I was to say something like that to you over the phone. I think it's important to, number one, to have a document or a spreadsheet in front of me so I'm actually stating facts, but also letting you know. So now I understand that we're just having a conversation about this, and this is a lot to take notes on. But I also just sent you an email with that document. So like the minute that I actually am on the phone with you, I could say in your email right now, I actually sent you that exact document. And then
hmm
you can then at that moment choose to pause and pull up the document, and then we can walk through it. Or, any of the documents any of the data that I'm going to be talking about, I should probably already email them that information call them and let them know, hey, you've got that email. Why don't you have that email open? And then I can talk to you about it right there. So I think that would be just like using an old school phone. That would be a process. Now we can go much further than that and do a Zoom call, right? So let's just assume you've got the more the people that are a little bit more advanced with technology, and you can get them on a Zoom call. Then if you're, working on your Zoom call and web call skills, then obviously you can have that on your computer and you can share your screen and you can kind of go through things. But I think what's really important about what you said that at least I picked up on is virtually just means how we're displaying the same stuff we were already talking about.
Yeah.
Like, don't cut corners because we're doing it virtual. Don't cut corners because you're not going to their house today. It's the same exact presentation. You've just got to figure out how to get that information in front of them so they're able to visualize and see what it is you're actually talking about. Basically going along through the presentation with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, I hope that people understand that are watching this, that this is probably one of the top 3 or 4 skills you need to be working on right now, because this isn't changing right away. I talked to somebody today, and they were probably to the far end of precautions right now. Like, they hadn't been out of the home, their home, want to sell the home, they hadn't been out of it and aren't leaving it probably until there is as much confidence that they're not going to catch something as there is uncertainty right now. So that's a long swing.
Yeah.
So
they may be in their home for months.
It could be. So right now we have to understand that there will be another time when we're on the other side, but the other side's not going to stop automatically. There's going to be this slow change, just like we've had this change happen. So work on that stuff, because Juan Martinez, we were on a call yesterday, our good friend out in Las Vegas, had a great point of, you're going to be talking with people who are going to be at different stages of this, maybe forever for the individual. So you want to have options. The options are, we can cover this in person and I come out and sit down with you. We could cover it over the phone. We could cover it through a Zoom meeting, one-on-one on video, stuff like that. You have to present options to people, because that's how everybody's going to be processing things differently. So if you're one-dimensional in how you've always felt comfortable communicating, that could be something that impacts your business going forward. You really have to be versatile in how you're going to be able to communicate and how you're going to be comfortable communicating the same thing that nothing changed on what you know about the market. So don't let something that just is a lack of practice affect what you can do in terms of being successful.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. Well, good. Well, this turned out just the way that I'd hoped. The process has changed, but how we process, doesn't necessarily change, but what we present changes, right? So the process is kind of the same. We're really presenting a lot of the stuff. It's just the way we're doing it and making sure that we're still able to keep the other person's attention, through the process. I think that's going to be the challenge, is how do you keep their attention when they're watching a video with their kids in the house, and whatnot. So I think you got to have something in their possession or within their view that they can kind of go along with you on the journey or the presentation. So
yeah,
great.
Definitely.
All right. Well, good. Well,
Great.
Sounds good. Until the next one.
Sounds good.